know how to get energy infrastructure built in a way that protects the environment, protects people, enhances our energy security, creates good paying jobs that pay 3 to 4 times more than the average job in the United States of America.
With Miranda Khan, J.D. Hayworth welcoming you back for Hour 2 of America's Forum. That's Congressman Kevin Cramer of North Dakota, heard there at a GOP press conference following the passage of the Keystone Pipeline bill through Congress.
The clearing of the bill, setting up a showdown with President Obama, who has threatened several times to veto that measure.
And joining us right now via telephone is that United States Congressman from North Dakota, Kevin Cramer. Also Skyping in our co-host for this hour from Los Angeles, a longtime friend, Larry Elder. Larry, it's great to have you aboard here at Newsmax TV.
Thanks, JD.
Let's begin with Kevin. And Kevin, I know energy is important to your state. You guys have enjoyed a boom with the clearance of shale oil there in North Dakota. Congressman Boehner, the Speaker of the House, says he thinks President Obama is playing to, quote, extremists and anarchists when it comes to the president's opposition to the Keystone Pipeline bill. What is the situation from your perspective, Congressman? Is this a situation where the president is not listening to the people?
I think it's quite clear, JD, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you. I think it's quite clear he's not listening to the will of the people. The Keystone XL pipeline has enjoyed popular support of the American public for a very long time, since its beginning, and today is day 2,337 of the application process. So the idea that somehow Congress is expediting the process is, we lost that fight a long time ago. It was not expedited. It's been expanded. And by his listening to the extreme environmentalists, largely out of Hollywood even, if you're an environmentalist, the honest argument is that moving oil by rail is far less environmentally sound than moving it by pipeline, or worse, moving it by barge to China, which is another market where this oil could go. That's many times more environmentally unsound than moving it by pipeline to the Gulf Coast of the United States. He claims to be for jobs and job creation and lifting up the middle class. I was on the North Dakota Public Service Commission when we cited the first Keystone pipeline, the original Trans-Canada Keystone, through North Dakota. I saw the types of jobs that were created and supported. The pipeline folks themselves, the welders, the pipe fitters and the pipe layers, the backhoe operators. But then you have local businesses that benefit tremendously: truck drivers, implement dealerships, retailers, hotel owners. You got the steel workers. 88% of the steel in the Keystone XL pipeline is sourced through North American companies. So this is a jobs bill, this is an environmental bill, but it's also an energy security bill. I mean, here we are being asked to authorize military force in war on terror, at the same time as the president's going to veto a bill that would actually make us less dependent on terrorists for our oil. So the whole thing, the intellectual argument, I think is made. I don't think there's a single argument against it that holds water. So all we can assume is he's listening to the extremists.
Congressman Cramer, I'm out here in California. I know I have your condolences. We're building a bullet train. The governor is. He's a big proponent of the bullet train, which is not going to be fully funded. The Keystone Pipeline, of course, is fully funded privately.
Right.
I'm listing the pros and cons, Congressman. If you were on the other side, what's the strongest argument that there is against the Keystone Pipeline? It's going to create jobs, create tax revenues. I'm trying to figure out what the downside is. There's got to be something.
And Kevin, only about a minute to answer this.
Sure. So they're largely making the environmental argument, and they're also making this argument that there are only 35 permanent jobs attached to the pipeline itself, and that may be true in the operation of the pipeline, but all of those jobs are permanent at the steel mills in Pennsylvania. The construction workers, the labor unions that support this are all full-time jobs that'll go to another infrastructure project. Maybe some of those same skills that they learn building a pipeline will be used in making the bullet train that will be government funded or government debt, I should say.
Yeah, I want to tell you, Kevin, I'm Larry's Arizona neighbor, and we have a lot of skepticism about our California cousins, Governor Brown and that bullet train. Gentlemen, to you both, stay put. Larry out in La La Land, and Congressman Cramer in another kind of La La Land, Capitol Hill. But Kevin's got some common sense answers. When we come back, we will talk more about the Keystone XL pipeline and the oil boom in Kevin's home state of North Dakota. All that, Miranda Kahn gets in on the conversation as well as we continue with America's Forum from Newsmax TV. And we will continue our conversation from the Newsmax TV anchor desk with Miranda Kahn, J.D. Hayworth, Skyping in from Newsmax Los Angeles, our good friend Larry Elder, our co-host this hour, and also joining us via telephone from Washington, D.C., the North Dakota congressman, Kevin Cramer, who has a nice problem in North Dakota with the oil boom, a lot of prosperity and some things to work on.
Right?
Yeah, now it's called what? North Dakota nectar, I guess.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
that's
just
really good.
Right there, I thought of it.
I liked it. Congressman Cramer, let's talk about your state, North Dakota.
Sure.
You've been seeing quite an oil boom and stand to benefit quite a bit if this pipeline goes through. Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. So one of the limiting factors in North Dakota, quite honestly, is the transportation infrastructure to get the oil to market. And because of that, in many cases, North Dakota sweet Bakken crude, which is a very high quality crude, actually gets paid a discount rather than a premium as it can command in certain markets. The Keystone XL pipeline, long ago when I was on the Public Service Commission in North Dakota and Senator John Hoeven was the governor, we were able to negotiate a deal with TransCanada where when the Keystone XL pipeline is built, a minimum of 100,000 barrels of oil per day would be, of that capacity would be for Bakken crude. And that 100,000 barrels per day represents 10 trains every week, having to leave North Dakota, clogging up the rail lines, making it more difficult to move food to market, and forcing sort of a discounted price. So the benefit of the Keystone XL pipeline to North Dakota is largely that capacity for Bakken crude and getting it to new markets.
Congressman Cramer, I watched the 60 Minutes piece. I think the correspondent was Leslie Stahl a year or two ago,
yes.
And she said that the Obama administration has spent $150 billion on clean alternatives with virtually no clean alternative, virtually no job. Now, when that report came out, did that change the debate in Congress? Did people walk around there saying, did you see that 60 Minutes piece last night? Did anybody do that?
Yeah, no, actually, it's interesting you bring that piece up and that issue up because prior to getting on the Energy and Commerce Committee, I spent my first 2 years on the Science, Space, and Technology Committee where we actually had jurisdiction over the Department of Energy's research and development budget, and it was amazing the poor answers we would get from the Secretary and others on the results, if you will, of the people's large investment in, quote, clean energy projects. And to the detriment, by the way, of research and development that helps find clean alternatives or clean technology for things like coal. North Dakota is a major coal-producing state. As a consequence, we enjoy some of the lowest retail electricity prices in the country. We also have a robust transmission and distribution network in the upper Midwest, all of which is being challenged tremendously. I wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal a couple of months ago on this issue of the reliability of our grid system being where it has to be based on the Obama clean energy solutions that are intermittent at best sources of energy, if in fact they even got built at all.
Kevin, Larry just spoke glowingly of that 60 Minutes report by Leslie Stahl, but Newsbusters is telling us that after the bill passed Congress yesterday, both ABC and CBS ignored that development. NBC only gave it 11 seconds. Why do you think the networks wanted to avoid mentioning that veto?
Well, I think because, first of all, here's what politically speaking, I think that the regular mention of vetoes reveals to the public just how uncooperative this president is. The fact on the Keystone Bill is that we had 270 votes yesterday in the House. When we brought it up as my bill, H.R. 3 or 4 weeks ago, we got 266. When we brought it up in December in anticipation of the special election down in Louisiana and an effort evidently to try and help save a Democratic Senate seat, we only had 252. Last summer when we brought it up as the Northern Route Approval Act, it had like 244. So every vote that we've taken on the Keystone XL pipeline has gotten more bipartisan, broader support, because I think people are seeing, wait a minute, 2,300 plus days to review a pipeline is long enough, Mr. President. We're not going to carry this objection for you forever, and so I think they want to avoid the public seeing that this president's become the obstructionist we always knew he was. Remember, we're going to vote today on some charitable IRA rollover deductions and other charitable deductions, making them permanent in our tax code rather than renewing them every year so that lobbyists can keep their jobs. He's already threatened to veto that. Tomorrow we're going to make a 179 expensing for small businesses, a permanent deduction. Again, a deduction we renew every year or two for decades. I'm sure you voted on it several times.
Oh, hey, listen, Kevin, as a former member of the Ways and Means Committee, we were way down in the weeds with the tax code, but you are talking about the fact that Congress and the House specifically is going to work on some tangible projects that have a real benefit for the American people. And on that note, we will have to end it. I guess, Kevin Cramer, you got to get back to work with votes there on the House floor today. We do thank you for your time. Larry, we'll be back to you from Newsmax LA, and we want you to come back too, because when we come back, we'll talk about the so-called American Sniper trial right after this.